So Travis Kelce should be the number one draft pick in fantasy football leagues next year. I think he should be. This is the Fantasy Sports Boss. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe, hit the notification button as well. Travis Kelce, fresh off a 14-catch bonanza of a game against the Jacksonville Jaguars to advance the Chiefs to the AFC Championship once again. And, of course, coming off another monster all-pro season for the Kansas City Chiefs, just a true superstar stud tight end. No other way to describe Kelce. He's truly a unicorn at the weakest position in fantasy football. And, he was so good again this season, head and shoulders above any other tight end, that there is a strong case to be made. He should be the number one pick in fantasy drafts next year, ahead of Justin Jefferson, ahead of Cooper Kupp, ahead of Saquon Barkley, ahead of Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler, you name it. And I'll explain to you why. Now, in terms of 2022, in his age 33 season, 110 catches for 1,338 yards and 12 touchdowns. So 12 touchdowns were a career high. It is now double-digit scores in 3 of the last 5 seasons. How about the yardage? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight seasons over 1,000 yards receiving. The last 5 over 1,100 yards. And then the receptions. I mean, just ridiculous. Look at these reception totals over the last 5 years. 103, 97, 105, 92, 110. And this is at tight end of all positions. So next season, age 34, all right, getting a little up there, but again, coming off a 14-catch season last week, against the Jacksonville Jaguars, Kelce is showing zero signs of slowing down. And here's another thing. This is a stat that really just kind of blew my mind. So looking at the fantasy points for the season in PPR leagues among tight ends, Travis Kelce, 316 fantasy points. The next highest guy was TJ Hawkinson at 215. So more than 100 points separated Kelce from the nearest competitor at the position. That was TJ Hawkinson. Just a stupid, silly number. How about this? Points per game. 18.6 fantasy points per game for Travis Kelce in PPR leagues last season. The next highest guy, George Kittle, 13.4. That's more than 5 points more than the next nearest guy. Just ridiculous numbers. Let's look at the receivers now. So Justin Jefferson, who everybody thinks, and there is a valid case, he should be the number one guy next season, right? So Justin Jefferson, 386 fantasy points last season, just a phenomenal year. But the next highest guy was Tyreek Hill at 341. So, that's less than 30 fantasy points separating those two, as opposed to 100 between Kelce and Hawkinson. Points per game fantasy-wise, Jefferson, 21.7, Tyreek Hill, 20.1. So, again, about 2 points really separated, not even separated the two of them. Not a drastic difference. Let's look at the running backs now in terms of the point differential. So the top running back, fantasy point-wise, last season in PPR formats was Austin Eckler with 372. The next highest, Christian McCaffrey, 356. So, 16 fantasy points separate the two. Points per game, 21.9 for Eckler, 21 for McCaffrey. So less than a point separate the two of them. So again, there's just no comparison here. Over 100 points separated Kelce from Hawkinson, number 2 at tight end. And then the points per game was over 5 between Kelce and George Kittle. So now the other thing is that, but prior to this past season, Mark Andrews went ahead of Kelce in some drafts because he outscored him slightly in fantasy the season before. And that was kind of like the wise guy pick. Okay, Andrews is younger, Kelce's getting older. But again, there was no drop-off at all for Kelce. There was a drop-off for Mark Andrews, and now we have quarterback issues in Baltimore where Lamar Jackson may not even be returning to Baltimore. We don't know that. But Travis Kelce, as durable as it gets, I know he's going to be 34. That's a little scary. It's getting up there in age for a guy who's played a lot, taken a lot of big hits over the years. There is injury risk, no doubt about it. Could that cliff season happen? Could the drop-off happen? Absolutely. But at tight end, it is such a huge advantage. The one league I won this season, I had Travis Kelce as my tight end. Both leagues I was in the finals, the winning team had Travis Kelce. So not a stretch to say he was the biggest difference maker by far in fantasy football. So a case could be made, number one pick in fantasy drafts next season. All right, again, hit that subscribe, hit that notification button. More videos on the way. Lots of big things happening with the channel. Have my NFL draft guide book coming out in just a couple of weeks. Make sure you look for that. Fantasy baseball is going to be getting underway soon. And of course, more off-season news and discussions of fantasy football.